What's going on, guys? We are back in the Starfield universe and we're playing this particular optional story called A House Divided. Now, after hearing some people having a conversation in the streets, that's going to compel you to search down Ronnie Dukef, which is this individual, and check this conversation out, and then we'll take it from there.
Pray that I could, but right now I need more time, not less. I'm sorry if I seem a bit flustered. Things have been chaotic since the cataclysm, and now word of missing supplies. But that doesn't excuse my rudeness. Let me at least introduce myself. My name is Kezrani Dulkef. I work as an executor for House Dulkef. Likewise, and I'm well aware of who you are. Word of the first convert in generations is on everyone's lips these days. But I'm sure you are busy getting adjusted to life here. Is there anything I can help you with? In that case, maybe you can help. It's about the supply shortage. There may be a reason for it beyond the cataclysm itself. A week ago, my cousin Ukaru came to my office concerned about a series of lost shipments. He was certain someone was using the tragedy as cover to steal supplies and route them to our enemies. I'm not sure. The message was vague, and there are many who would want to do us harm. Yes, but given the seriousness of the accusation, the proof must be irrefutable. So I told my cousin to return with more evidence, and when I didn't hear back, I assumed that was the end of it. But this morning, I received a slate from a courier. It was from Ukaru. It was worrying, to say the least. It felt like Ukaru was trying to warn me. The contents were cryptic. He mentions a possible conspiracy and being followed, and well, I hate to say it, but I'm starting to panic. He hasn't shown up to work in days, and the timing of all this feels suspicious.
A sudden absence would give credence to the idea he was followed.
Agreed. Ukaru was extremely punctual. An absence like this is very unlike him. But if he is in danger, I don't know if it's safe for me to investigate. I need someone disconnected from the noble houses. The slate Ukaru sent via courier is light on details, but he did say that one of the noble houses may be involved, which, if true, would emphasize the need for discretion and an outside party. Vital supplies for the city, which given the cataclysm is a wide breadth of things. Construction materials, medical kits, food. The loss of all this is a great cause for concern, given the state of the city. I'm not sure that's wise, given Ukaru's warnings. If what he says is true, a watchful eye is being kept on House Dulkef. They may blame him or me for the supplies going missing. And if I investigate this, I could be accused of wiping records or tampering with evidence. An independent investigator, unaffiliated with the houses, is what we need here. Ukaru's workstation is likely your best bet. He's been working in the rehabilitation unit on the 3rd floor of the Halls of Healing. If you run into any issues with access, hand this slate to my fellow executors. Once you locate him, report back to me. I've got a meeting at House Kadik later, but I shouldn't be hard to track down. Hopefully you'll find my cousin alive and safe.
So after your conversation with Dukef, you're going to head straight to the Halls of Healing to try to gain access to Ukaru's workstation. Now, once you get there, the key is how you're going to go about doing that. Now, me, myself, which I'm going to let you see here, I was able to talk them into allowing me to gain access to the workstation and a little bit more, but you could also use stealth as well if that's the way that you want to go.
I'm sorry, but this wing of the hospital is under investigation. You'll have to leave. Even with the cataclysm, this is highly irregular. But not surprising. Kisrani is obsessed with transparency and often seeks independent help. I find this tendency unwise.
And by unwise, he means a complete disregard for operational security, rules, and regulations.
Possibly. And yet, despite what I said, and unsaid, she persists in doing so. So, we must come to a compromise.
A good compromise leaves everyone unhappy. This one was particularly miserable.
I will give you the keycard to Ukaru's computer. You will be able to access documents and correspondence for the past month. Any further access will require admin privileges, which I am not willing to grant. I apologize, but you are only given access to view the computer's records. Admin privileges are restricted to House officials only. You want an exception. Exceptions create loopholes. Loopholes lead to anarchy. I am aware of your status as a recent convert, which is barely a step above heretic. I do fear you have a point. True. Although Kisrani did not request admin access for you, I would expect her to, if it's required for her investigation. These are desperate times. Normally, I would say rules are rules, but I do understand this is an emergency. I suppose, given all that's happened, exceptions must be made. You'll be granted temporary admin privileges to Ukaru's computer. That should be enough for you to do your investigation. Unfortunately, rather than use the proper channels, he chose to start his own investigation.
A very unfortunate choice.
I will not pretend to know the particulars of this case. I will say this. We are House Dul Kef. We have a reputation. We are professional. We are exacting.
We don't make mistakes.
Precisely. It is highly unusual for anyone to display such disobedience, especially now. Such actions are tantamount to heresy. Loss of employment is the most likely outcome.
A beheading isn't off the table.
It would be done humanely, of course. Ukaru hasn't logged into his station for some time. I've had to process several write-ups documenting his absence.
Dereliction of duty. Failure to serve. Fireable offenses all around.
We've also had to shift resources and people to make up for his absence. Suffice to say, it has made navigating this current situation more difficult. Several. The halls of healing are extremely busy. We can't keep track of every individual that passes through. In particular, the patients. We had to usher one out of here just now, who claimed to have a crippling headache.
given the patient himself was a headache. It's likely genetic.
The admin privileges I've granted you will allow you to view the access logs, however, that track the last users to sign in. Now, to get back to these spreadsheets.
And the rest of us.
When you first access Ukaru's work terminal, you'll first notice a lot of deleted files, which thankfully you're able to restore at least one communication where Ukaru says that he received an anonymous message from someone that insists that he conducts an audit of the supply chain. After conducting an audit, Ukaru discovered that several shipments that were supposed to go to several needy institutions were mysteriously placed on hold for reasons that were unclear. Because it was done by remote login, whoever did it was able to bypass normal approval processes, which means the individual was more than likely a high-ranking official. Ukaru also states that he stored the access logs on a slate and hid it in Quizrani's office. Because of the tracking devices on the crates, Ukaru was able to tell that the shipment was being moved. It is at this time during the investigation that you start to realize that Ukaru may have bitten off more than he could chew, because in his last communication, he expressed fears that he was being followed. Because he knew that the information that he discovered could implicate one of the great houses, he knew that his life could possibly be in danger. Thankfully, Ukaru provided the frequency used to track the shipments, which allowed me to track them to their last destination. The tracking devices led me to Hollow Bluff Depot, a facility that's located well outside of the city. Now, when you first enter the facility, at first it seems like this is just going to be an uneventful mission. You're just basically probably going to collect some information or something like that. Now, let me recommend this. If you're somebody that's still kind of early in the game, go ahead and take the opportunity on this entire mission, this whole mission, to loot, because it is going to put you in a location where there is a lot of great loot. Now, I've been playing this game for quite some time now. I loot a little bit, but I'm a little bit picky about what I loot. But if you're somebody that's still looting a lot, still trying to loot a lot of weapons and things of that nature to sell for credits or something, this mission is definitely a great mission to try to loot a lot of things to sell later. And you may even run into some items that you may want to keep for yourself. Now, you'll notice that I did say that the mission was going to appear to be the type of mission where it was going to be uneventful. That may have been a hint that it's not going to be completely uneventful. Though, let me tell you, this particular thing that's going to go down here in this facility is nothing in comparison to what is in store later. So stick with me and watch the rest of the video. Now, eventually you'll enter this command center where you will end up finding Ukaru's slate. After you read Ukaru's slate is when this particular mission, or this particular part of the mission, begins to get a little interesting. And one thing I do need to correct, that this is an audio slate, so we won't need to read it.
So, the coordinates on the tracking device brought me to what looks like a supply depot. Lucky for me, it doesn't seem as if anyone's home. Hello? Hello? Okay, looks clear. Anyway, the main entrance was locked, but I managed to sneak my way into a vent area and into what looks like a security office. But there's too many crates and some have been emptied out. I need to override the computer, look at the manifest, and ping the tracking device I placed on the crates. I wonder if I can even hack into the security.
At this point, you'll hack into the security system to ping the location of the cargo. Once inside the system, you'll not only gain access to the location of the crates, but you'll also gain access to more incriminating evidence. After gaining access to the small warehouse, you'll work your way to the other side where you'll locate another one of Ukaru's slates. In the slate, he makes statements that makes it clear that he's starting to realize that his life is in danger.
I found the shipment! Along with, countless others. This is bad. Real bad. But it begs the question, who are these for? And who's helping them?
After listening to the slate, you'll follow a trail of blood to a hallway. At the other end of the hallway will appear to be Ukaru's body, blocked by a security door. A substance will spew out from the pipe above your head, forcing you into the ventilation shaft.
You cannot escape the shrouding, accursed one. And now you and your friend will die.
At this point, of course, whoever's behind all of this is aware of your presence in the facility, so you'll work your way into another warehouse where you'll run into resistance.
Good one. Target down.
And just some advice if you're in need of supplies, after dispatching all of the enemies in the warehouse, work your way to the restroom where you may run into one more enemy. If so, dispatch him and search the lockers. In the lockers, you'll find a slate by this disgruntled worker who's been stealing supplies and hiding them in the warehouse. This slate, of course, gives the location of those items. So head on up there and grab those. After grabbing those items, your next objective is to work your way through a bunch of enemies in order to gain access to a control room so that you can restore the power in the facility. So, of course, once you reach the control room, all of the power cells are missing. So you have to locate those and bring them back so that you can restore the power and look for more evidence. Once you restore power to the facility, this will give you access to Ukaru's body, and it will also allow you to confirm, unfortunately, that he is indeed dead. But the good news is the evidence is all right there on a table to the right side as you're looking at Ukaru's body. Now the slate is encrypted, so you will need to take it back to have it decrypted, and there's also a key to a supply closet if you're looking for other items to loot. So now it's time to leave, but of course you can't just simply leave without running into a wave of resistance.
Die.
cannot escape judgment.
So now that you've made it back in one piece, it's time to work your way back to Quizrani so that you can present her with all of the evidence that you've been able to gather so far.
If you feel you're in danger, I can provide a security detail. My people are nothing if not capable.
Thank you, Envoy. I'll consider it. Was there anything else?
Yes, there was one more thing. Regarding the missing supplies, I was wondering if I could be of any assistance. Our agents mostly work in the settled systems, but I have contacts in Basra as well. I can set up a meeting at the Halls of Obedience.
I appreciate the support. My mind has been frazzled as of late.
It's understandable. The accident has affected all of us.
You're right, and your concern is welcome.
I spend most of my time working at the Ministry of State.
I apologize. The Envoy and I were just discussing matters of state.
In particular, I offered to help find the missing supplies. I have my people looking into the matter as well.
Thank you for your diligence, Envoy. On that note, I hate to take up any more of your time than I already have. And I'm sure you're busy with issues regarding your own house. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the Vindicator alone.
This is a personal matter. I am sure the Envoy will respect our privacy.
Indeed. And your timing is apt. The cortege has arrived at the spaceport, and I don't like to leave the crew waiting.
Thank you, Envoy.
Executor.
I appreciate your discretion. The Envoy is a trusted figure, but you can never be too careful in situations like this.
In my line of work, this holds especially true. The more people know, the more everyone knows.
Exactly. We keep the circle of trust small until we know who to let in. And while having the conversation here isn't entirely secure, we press for time, so it'll have to do. So, now that we're alone, tell me, what have you uncovered? I was afraid of that. If only I had preached more caution. But after the accident, things were dire. Our resources were blocked. We needed those supplies, and... Indeed. But there's more going on here than meets the eye. If the Zealots are responsible, they must be punished. But one question remains. How would they gain access to the shipments in the first place?
The answer is both obvious and impossible to believe. Who would betray House Varun when so many are suffering?
That is a part I am having trouble with myself. But perhaps our loyalty to House Varun blinds us. This slate you found, it mentions a contact. Someone on the inside. This person would have to be well versed in our operational pipeline. They would have to know where to route the shipments and how to clean the books. It seems unfathomable. But perhaps Ukaru was right. A member of the noble houses has betrayed us. Time is yes, but without coordinates, Jandar's rest could be anywhere on Varun Kai. We're going to need to enlist some help. I'd like you to speak with Tivina Vithal at the Keep. If that slate has coordinates, she may have the means to decrypt it. They are fiercely loyal to House Varun and are in charge of rooting out zealotry in our ranks. Only one thing troubles me, though. If a shipment were put on hold and confiscated, it would likely go to them first. Do not let her cheery demeanor fool you. She has a reputation around these parts for being a ruthless hunter of heretics. If she doesn't know the location of the hideout, at the very least, she'll have a lead. Excellent. As for me, I must mourn my cousin's passing. I understand there's a shrine upstairs. When you return, meet me at the Halls of Obedience, where we first met. By Jinan's grace, we'll find out who the supply thief is and bring them to justice. Serpent guide you, and be safe.
So at Quizrani's request, I headed straight to the armory to speak to Davina Bethal to see if she had any information on the location of Jandra's rest. Davina proved to be a very interesting character that I am definitely hoping that I'll have to interact with in the future.
Vindicator. I was wondering when you'd grace my office with your presence. Oh, you're a flatterer. Well, that will get you everywhere with me. In fact, I think you and I are going to be fast friends. But I realize that's not why you're here. Shall we get down to business? Excellent. I take it this is about the missing supplies. I may have some intel on my computer that could help you with your case. Well, look at that. The Great Serpent favors us both. It just so happens that one of my agents recently recovered a Zealot cipher key and dropped it off this morning. Here, a copy of the key for your records. Well, as you can see, the encryption they're using is mind-numbingly simple. Take the slate number and multiply the even numbers by 2. Your slate's numbered 2032, which means the key is... You hit the bullseye. Let's see what you've won. Looks like an all-expenses-paid journey to Jandar's Rest. Lucky you. Okay, scanning the coordinates, these point further north, hidden in Badlands. Clever, clever. Of course, resources are thin, but maybe I can squeeze in a squadron or 2 should you get in a pinch. But that aside, let's get to the guts of the issue. After reading through the evidence, where do you think the supply thief is from? That's highly unlikely, given how intimate the thief's knowledge is of our pipeline. It's not only suspicious, it's dirty too. No, I think it's someone on the inside. Well, whoever the thief is. I think it's all but guaranteed you'll find more clues at Jandar's Rest. Now, since you have what you need, I'm going to turn my attention to other matters. I've enjoyed our time together, but as they say, fish and guests are quick to stink. Let's avoid that from happening to us.
So Andreja and I headed out to the Jeep, which was still at the location we were at earlier. I was pleasantly surprised to see that Quizani's people had actually taken it over. But now it was time for the moment of truth. Now it was time to head to Jondar's Rest to see exactly what was going on out there. Now, I'm not going to make you guys watch the entire firefight, but I do want you to see this because when we got there, we discovered that the place was massive. So far, this is probably the biggest place when I combine everything, like what's outside and what's inside. And the caves, to me, seem to be the largest caves that I've ever been in. So you can check this out. There's like lots of enemies here that you're going to have to deal with before you're able to finally get inside. It's not a good idea to make a run for the door because they are going to try to follow you. That's something that I tried to do. So the best thing to do is to go ahead and dispatch these guys. Another thing that I found out was that if you don't take out a lot of these people, when you come back out, you're going to have even more people to deal with. So you're going to have people to deal with. So the best thing to do is to go ahead and take these guys out, because when you come out, even though you are going to have to fight some people, it won't be near as many.
Quiet. Did you hear that?
So after you take care of all the enemies outside, you come down to this Elder Scrolls-like entrance and you enter the facility from there. Once inside, you'll see two options actually. One will be apparent, which is that gate. You can pick it if you want, or you can just climb up on these boxes, which kind of gives you an advantage once you get inside anyway. That's the way I decided to go up. So you can pick the lock. That's not very hard. I pick locks a lot, so I like it. I like it like a little mini game or whatever. But sometimes I just decide, not to do it, especially if I have another option. Now, of course, when you first enter the cave system, you're going to receive some light resistance. So I'll just show you an example of that. It's not the most resistance you're going to encounter, but it is some resistance, and you do need to be careful.
We are not alone.
Now, eventually, you're going to work your way to this gigantic opening in the cave system right here. And over there on the far side is the Zealot shrine that you're trying to gain access to. Now, this area is huge and it is full of goodies. If you're into looting, you can even run into a bit of Starfield lore, which would be located in this building right here. In time, Jandar amassed an army of the devout, growing the House Milan into a force on par with the colonies of the settled system. He organized attacks in civilized space and dispensed the gospel of Jinan to all who would listen. Apostates and accursed alike heard the true word blessed by the serpent's tongue and pledged loyalty to Jandar's cause. But Jarek, in his final betrayal, deemed the promise to be zealots, and so this lie became the word spoken by the damned. Now, just as an example, you look around in this room alone and you see a bunch of goodies. You see credits, a safe, you see some health packs, and some other things as well. So just go ahead and go through this whole area and do your thing as far as looting, because there is a few more enemies down here, so you may need some health packs as well as some ammunition.
A good many species of predator take refuge in caves.
Now, eventually you will work your way to the Zealot Shrine, but when you first get there, you'll discover that you need a key. But don't panic, because all of the Zealots have keys, and also the game is going to assist you by tagging the bodies that you can go to get a key, so that's not going to be a problem. So once you have the key, go back to the shrine, and I suggest saving before you go inside. I know it's supposed to save each time you go through a loading screen, but that's just a habit of mine, just to be sure.
You're too late, Vindicator. The contact has already returned to Dazra, and your handler, Kisrani, will die by their hand. We have dispatched our people to Dazra. The contact has agreed to smuggle them in and kill the one named Kisrani Dulkaf. Your journey, however, ends here. They are one who has Jinan's ideals in mind. To make House Varun the might of the settled systems. Only by uniting with House Malin is this possible. Because they are weak and unworthy. For years they cowered in their holes, leaving us to fight the war that Jinan began. Child of Jarek. Normally, I would not entertain such cowardice. But the speed of your arrival is suspicious. How did you find this place so swiftly? I wonder if the contact has betrayed us and fled to safety. Killing us would remove his only witnesses. It is unlikely such a thing would have simply fallen into your hands. We are not so careless. A leak is possible. Yes, and I doubt that even the Warden, despite all her bloodthirst, would find us so quickly. No, this reeks of foul play. If the supplier has betrayed us, then perhaps you are in the right. I am beginning to think you are right. Very well. If we have been betrayed, then there is no bargain left to uphold. The name of our contact is from House Kadik. This slate will give you all the evidence you need. Goodbye, child of Jarek. Pray we do not meet again on more even ground.
So after the meeting, we open the slate and we see indeed that Mujin is listed as the contact, and it states the following. The contact in Dazra has made assurances that Jandar's rest will remain hidden, and that the one named Quizrani Dukef will be handled. But we have trusted the children of Jarik before, and they abandoned the Great Serpent in their cowardice. Now an outsider has entered our home only moments after he assured us that we are in no danger. If we die here, let it be known that Mujin Kadik is the betrayer. Now you can head out of the facility. Now earlier I mentioned that if you didn't take out all the enemies at the beginning, that you will come out and you will find a lot of enemies out there. Well, this time, because I actually played through this part twice, just to kind of see what different outcomes would be like, I came out and there was no one here. And I kind of like that, because now I can stick around and kind of look around to give you an idea of just how massive this place is. Look at this place. So now it's time to head back to the city so that we can bring Quizrani up to speed.
You're back. Did you uncover anything at Jandar's rest? I had an inkling I was being followed, so I asked for a security detail to protect me. Mujin, does this mean he's the supply thief? Are you sure? Then I may be walking into an ambush, seeing as Mujin's the one who organized this meeting and supplied my security detail. The meeting takes place inside the Halls of Obedience. Will you watch my back? Thank you. Okay, let's walk.
Then may the Great Serpent...
For House Malene!
Jinan, bless you. I would not have survived that if you hadn't been here. That is kind of you to say. Your benevolence continues to surprise me. In any case, now is not the time to dawdle. Our next move must be to arrest Mujin. I am of House Dulkef. We are meticulous to a fault. Before we move in, I want to make sure we have opened every closet, looked into every crack. Thank you. This assassin's attempt will help our case, but we still need evidence tying him to Mujin. If you have time, check his office. There may be information connecting him to this individual. Yes, as a matter of fact. The bodies of the assassins. They may offer more clues. I'll have security look them over also, but if their ranks have been infiltrated, I'd rather you inspect them first. Good. Our case must be ironclad given whom we are accusing. Regardless, he must answer for aiding the Zealots and the murder of my cousin. Give me until the coming dawn and I will summon the relevant parties to my office. Mark my words. We will bring him to justice with all three noble houses as witness.
A couple of the bodies did have incriminating slates on them, but the one item that stood out to me was this right here, Oshim's computer passcode. You're going to see later exactly how that's going to come into play. Next, it was time to search Mujin's personal computer for more incriminating evidence. Once inside, the first thing I noticed was that the last communication was locked, but the one just before it also reveals some very interesting and mysterious information. You can see here that Mujin clearly states that he has adopted someone named Oshim. If you think back just a little bit earlier, one of the shooters, or assassins if you will, had something on him that said Oshim's password. Now, after we unlock the next communication, it reveals all kinds of interesting information, but the most important information that it reveals here, in my opinion, is you see here, it is stated that unfortunately, Oshim has chosen a rather peculiar time to disappear. So all of this is going down, and all of a sudden, this person, his ward, if you will, has suddenly vanished. After waiting 24 hours, it was time to head to Grisani's office for a meeting to discuss all of the evidence against Mujin. While en route, I was intercepted by Mujin just outside of Grisani's office. It was here that he made an attempt to pay me off. He even offered to throw his newly adopted son Oshim under the bus to take the blame for all of the murders. Though I found Oshim's sudden disappearance highly suspicious, Mujin didn't exactly do himself any favors by proving what a scumbag he is.
Been busy, Vindicator. You're practically an oracle to have connected the dots so quickly. Even I did not expect you to make it so far, so fast. But before you proceed into that room, I must ask, do you have the proof you need? Is it solid? Maybe so, but once a suspect has been established, it can be like pulling a loose thread. The rest comes undone rather quickly. So let us speak frankly for a moment, if we may. Wait, before you go in there and report your findings, hear me out. The speed at which things have unraveled, it makes me wonder how much of this outcome has been orchestrated. Of course, I am not denying my role in all this. Yes, I approved to have the supplies rerouted. And yes, I ordered that they be directed to the Zealots. But the murders, the violence, these were not directives I had ordered. If I am guilty of anything, it's being a rubber stamp. I won't apologize for my actions. Everything I did for Dazra. A handful of supply shipments are a meager exchange for an entire clan of allies. United with House Malin, we can rebuild Dazra as the industrial and military force it was during the Serpent's Crusade. Which is why I ask that you listen to my proposal. Let me go. Allow me to continue my efforts discreetly for the betterment of House Va'ruun. I have a ward, Okim, who I've used to keep myself separated from this operation, and also serves as the perfect suspect. I'll arrange for him to conveniently disappear. While loyal, it's better for us both if he isn't available for questioning. You disappoint me, convert. Why should I willingly confess and ensure my death? I'd much rather argue my case in front of my peers.
Argue all you want. This only ends one way.
I don't know what evidence you've gathered, but without anything concrete, it's your word against mine. We shall see which one carries more weight.
Thank you all for coming. I think we can all agree that the charges for this crime are quite serious. Theft of supplies, aiding the Zealots, and the murder of my cousin. Which is why it comes with great shock that evidence points to a member of House Kadik as the thief.
Based on what evidence? House Kadik does not deal in trade. Your house does.
I would not be making this claim without sufficient cause, nor is House Dulkef the bearer of this information. Vindicator, the floor is yours. This slate lists you by name, Envoy. What do you have to say for yourself?
Is this what you called me to your office for, Kisrani? This is an absolute disgrace to your department.
You haven't answered my question, Mujin.
Nor should I have to. A single slate, which I might add is likely fabricated, is not enough to prove anything. See? When confronted with the facts, even your own investigator has taken my side. You don't even have the evidence to make me a suspect.
Oh, you didn't know. We have piles of evidence, ship departure records, signatures, the works. And of course the kicker. Kisrani's would-be assassin.
Security has identified him as Okim Kadik.
Well, that's your ward, Mujin.
In fact, if I were you, Envoy, I would think long and hard about submitting to the Guard peacefully. Given the severity of your crimes, the Captain has the authority to do it by force.
I will cooperate, but this is by no means an admission. And make no mistake, the three of you will pay for this insult.
Make all the threats you want, Envoy. My decision is made. Guard, take him away.
As you command, Executor.
I appreciate you backing me up on this one. Warden Vithal had brought some evidence linking Mujin to the crime, but it's your evidence that makes me feel confident we can convict. All told, I'm extremely grateful. Ukaru was family, and I would not have been able to rest if I knew the thief had not been brought to justice. My thanks are yours. You had no personal stake in solving my cousin's murder, yet you did so with diligence and aplomb. For that, you will be well rewarded.
I've also handed over everything we have at House Vithal regarding the case. Who knows what other crimes we can uncover while poring over the evidence.
I'll take this up with the captain of the guard. After that, our part in all of this is done. Jinan grace you for taking on this investigation. You've done a great service for House Varun and for Dazra. And on a personal note, I want to extend my gratitude for avenging my cousin's murder. With the accident and all that's going on, I haven't really had time to grieve, but closing this case might help me start that process. So for that, I thank you.